Welcome to the Filmsteins, the double feature podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience and the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $5 tier will grant the ability to request films for the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmsteins, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience.
They're an experience
All around you. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmsteins. Thank you guys for joining us today. I'm joined today by my best friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
Remember, we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with brand new episodes of the Filmsteins. Some recent episodes include The Taste of Things, The Outsiders, The Warriors, the new Godzilla times Kong, and King Kong, the 2005 Jack Black, Peter Jackson masterpiece. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas over on our Patreon as well. And leave nice reviews on Apple Podcasts. Come by, subscribe, request a film, write in, whatever you want. We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys very much.
Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at HempvilleCBD.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
But today we are discussing Philip Lord's and Christopher Miller's 2012 film, 21 Jump Street. Of course, they're famous from the Lego movie, I would say.
Oh, okay.
That was a big deal back in the day, right? For at least a few weeks.
I wrote down Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
That's a seminal movie in animation, no doubt. That was one of those moments in time where Sony was like, you know what, Pixar? I'm going to take your lunch money today. But 21 Jump Street, okay. Putting it on, I was like, I'm not sure if I've seen 21 Jump Street. And then as the movie started rolling out, I was like, oh yeah, this is all very familiar. It's just a very forgettable film. But yeah, it's cute. It's a cute film. It's a solid comedy. It's very complete in that way. Channing Tatum, Jonah Hill, great on screen, as always. They have great chemistry. I think Jonah Hill can pull great chemistry out of anyone. Personally, I think he's actually a really great actor, and I'm glad that he kind of decoupled himself, naturally so, from the Seth Rogens. This film's fun. Like you, but especially me, I'm truly not a fan of comedies other than Larry David. But you probably are the biggest fan of this movie, I know. So, so how do you feel about this movie today?
I'm glad to hear because I absolutely love this movie. I think it's one of the better, if not the best, comedy film. It's definitely one of my favorites. It's something I can rewatch all day. It's one of the few purchases I've made in my life. Instead of streaming it, I actually bought this movie. I supported this movie. I went to the movie theater to see this movie. But I'm right there with you. I mean, some of the standout here is definitely the casting choices and Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill's relationship and what they managed to have on screen together. I don't know if I truly see that it's just Jonah Hill bringing it out of whoever he acts with, if that's how you phrase it, if I'm phrasing it correctly. But again, I'm not familiar with too many Jonah Hill movies. I think the last one I saw was Don't Look Up, and he wasn't a standout in that film for me, so I don't know. But I definitely like the bromance chemistry they have here in this film. This movie is funny to me because it's very witty and almost like slapstick kind of humor. It's not clever. It's not sexual, raunchy. It's not physical. People think people falling down or getting hurt is funny. There's some of that here, but I like the movie for its wittiness and almost its self-awareness, which is something that a lot of other comedy movies lack. So I hate to even call this a comedy movie. although it's very obvious a comedy movie, just because it's so different. I also like that it's a buddy cop movie, as you schooled me in our Kong times Godzilla movie, which I guess I like those because these are your rush hour films. You know, these are your, I can't think of any other at the top of my head right now, but that type of relationship that two people have is pretty funny to me. I guess that's opening a whole new genre that I have to think about if that's something that speaks to me in a way.
Yeah, the buddy cop film starts to unlock that inside joke thing that you have with your own friends, and when you're with your stupid friend, you find the stupid and funny in everything. And so it helps kind of play that up.
Yeah, that's true. And to add to that, I guess this movie came out when we were maybe sophomores in high school. I just remember everyone quoting this movie, especially because I was in AP chemistry. So it's just a bunch of stupid with classmates. So I think that's why it's also a memorable film for me.
That is one of the truly funny angles they take throughout the whole film, where politically correct is cool now. Being self-conscious about X, Y, and Z is cool, right? Expressing your care for one another and the environment or whatever is cool. And so it's kind of a funny establishment where, you know, we get young Channing Tatum's character, Jinko, being that jockey 90s guy, whatever, and Schmidt is the nerd, and how those roles have somewhat flipped in who can and cannot be popular or respected in high school or whatever, however they would like to phrase it. And then these two characters are challenged with seeing each other's perspective on their whole lives, really. And so it helps bring a real honed in, intimate level of bromance between these two.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that they did this, you know, years later, going back to high school. What has changed? And a lot has changed. And it's probably one of the funniest things here in the movie when he's like, okay, there's the cool kids, there's the jocks, there's the goths, and then there's the, I don't know what those are. What the fuck are those? And it's like scene kids, and those girls that are dressing all cute and stuff on the rise of the K-pop movement. I don't know what they're doing there either. I'm with Janko. That's a nice story, making them each realize their pains and their struggles that they each went through in high school. And this film is more of a coming of age film than The Outsiders ever could be.
That's true. Absolutely.
Schmidt gets the girl. Janko realizes he's not dumb as fuck. He's actually pretty smart. And they're on a deeper level of romance. And he finally learns his Miranda rights, which is kind of the whole catalyst of the film.
It is the whole catalyst.
Yeah. It is the whole catalyst of the film. And I like the little touch of one of the things that Janko learns throughout his time in this high school of his. He learns about covalent bonds.
It's such a funny through line.
I know. It's so good. It's so witty. It's good. It's good.
It's so innocent and charming and funny enough, really expressive of how to describe someone's relationship and codependency. Because they really do rely on each other, at least by the time they, enter law enforcement. And it just goes to show you how you can take such a simple idea and just inject these little bits of personality in what you choose to run with and how complete it all can be. Because you could have seen this movie looking a little bit more like a lot of Jonah Hill's previous work and the Seth Rogen movies, and just being a little too sexual and frankly just stupid, straight up. But they reject a lot of the vulgarities. And I dare say the weakest part of the movie is Ice Cube.
Oh, wow.
I think he's a funny challenge for the boys, but he's kind of out of place. But so are they. So it kind of has an interesting balance. But when they are with Ice Cube and the other undercover police officers, there's just a weird tonal shift that I'm just like, I wish we could just find another way around this and get back to just Jinko and Schmidt. Total side point, but I like that little inclusion of Molly, I think that's her name, saying that she's 18 to make that as less weird as possible. It's like, okay, that's pretty funny.
And that's some of that self-awareness that I'm talking about, calling Jonah Hill not so Slim Shady, Molly being 18, the teacher's making a joke that, are you sure you're 18 or you're high schoolers? You look like a 40-year-old. Yeah. No, I think like several people make that joke. It's like, that's why you're narcs. Like, it's so funny.
And they sum up the sexualness that this movie could have easily been in that one teacher from who was in the office, who's like really awkward about Channing Tatum's character. But she's so awkward that it's like doesn't feel sexual at all. She can't even get anything out. She's just so mesmerized.
Yes, and I don't like that you said that Ice Cube was the worst part of the movie, because I thought she was the worst part of the movie. It was maybe a little too awkward and out of place for that type of humor for me to like that. Those were probably my least favorite sections of the film. I thought they were pretty weak after we have all this just cutesy slapstick cleverness that we have. And then we add that and it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know about that. I thought Ice Cube was great. I really enjoyed the scenes where we go back to him and infiltrate the dealer, find the supplier. And he's kind of like the dad figure of these two cops. As boys, that's Schmidt's mom's job. But as cops, they're still childish. They're still stupid. Who's taking care of them now? It's Ice Cube. He's their dad. I actually love all those sections where they go back to 21 Jump Street and they're getting taunted by the other adult teens.
Yeah. Those are funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm appreciative of them putting on the sexual tension and sexual nature that a lot of these movies go down into that one teacher, because it could have been everywhere, like every other one of these movies.
That's true. I could have seen every high school girl being all over Channing Tatum, and they didn't do that. They just made the awkward AP chemistry teacher be the sexual one.
And it embraces the self-awareness of their adultiness, because it's less of Channing Tatum being sexy now and more of just this singular adult being attracted to this other adult.
Yeah.
And so it helps embrace the self-awareness a little bit and helps balance what you would expect, of course, with keeping it pretty PG, actually. It's really kind of surprising how...
Well, until the end. Kinda.
Yeah, I mean, even just sort of, yeah. The end kind of takes a turn like Bottoms did, where it's just like, what is happening with this movie?
What did I just watch? Yeah. I wonder if that's any kind of nod to the TV series from the 80s. I don't know. I've never seen it. Didn't even know about it. Even watching the movie, I didn't pay enough attention to get that.
To know that Johnny Depp was in the end?
Yeah. Flew right over my head.
I assume the other guy was probably part of that cast as well.
That makes sense.
I don't know who that is, but yeah.
But I like that too. I like that little homage almost. Like a comedic homage to the TV series, because everyone was probably like, why do we need a 21 Jump Street movie?
Well, let me tell you why. That's what they said. And I will say too, it's sort of a tasteful inclusion, that homage, because it's just like a real innocent kind of gag where, Johnny Depp was here the whole time, undercover for the last however many years he said.
Eating peanut butter.
Eating peanut butter. And while also being very kind of, that nostalgic, predatory thing that we see a lot of today, but before that even, it's tasteful and fun.
Yes, definitely did not feel predatory here in this movie. I also really liked the title cards that we have here for the phases of the drug, the stages of the drug. I thought those were pretty fun, pretty cute. I love the little music that went on with each one. I think it helped explain without over-explaining. Like, I could see something going on with Schmidt explaining to, Ice Cube's character, like, oh, well, first, this is what we're noticing happens. Like, no, here's a title card, shits and giggles, boom. And you kind of have that with that YouTube video, which I like. That was funny.
It's one of those trade-offs where it starts to enter dangerous territory of being ultra stupid. And I will say, as far as I feel, before it could get too stupid, it was already over. And maybe something to do with the chemistry, excuse the pun, helps sell the stupidity of it. Because they're fun to watch, Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum.
Yes. Watching their reaction to that video definitely makes you want to laugh with them. My favorite joke in the whole entire movie has to be when they're in the office with their boss. I don't know. This is before they go to Jump Street. They're in the office. They're getting in trouble. And he doesn't know his Miranda rights. And the boss asks Janko to repeat it. And he says, "You have the right to remain an attorney." And that always gets me every time. And then I love that Schmidt is like, "Well, technically, sir, you do have the right to remain an attorney if you want to." And like, he's trying to fix it up for his friend because he knows his friend's in trouble. And that whole section just cracks me up. But that's probably my favorite joke in the entire film. Just something so slapstick about it. Something so innocent and so stupid.
Yeah, and I love that little cameo with Nick Offerman because he's got a legendary cadence. He often feels very annoyed and doesn't want to be where he's at the time.
He looks it.
Yeah.
But there's so much here I appreciate about the movie. Him calling it app chemistry and Schmidt saying, "You dumbass, it's AP chemistry." And him doing a poem about potassium nitrate and his teacher calling them pop Quiznos because they get a Quiznos certificate if they finish, for whoever finishes the test first. I mean, there's so many little nuggets here that just elevate this movie.
It almost feels really progressive and forward-looking in how it makes fun of schools, too. Because this is how we make fun of kids who are in high school today, 12 years later.
But let me just say, even with that stupidness, that progressiveness of teaching, he learned something. And he was able to save the day with his potassium nitrate hoodie on. Another thing I actually noticed this last time around, after watching it maybe 10 plus times, maybe not that many, but close. I noticed that the coach, the supplier, was eating Cool Ranch Doritos the whole time right in front of us. And I never noticed that. And you never see the bag until the end of the movie, which is the big reveal.
Yeah, it's just one of many great through lines. Nicely cited.
Yeah, because he never puts that bag down. He's always eating, popping a chip in his mouth. Always. When he's coaching, when he's at the play, watching that, when he's, I don't know what else he's doing. Until he turns around at the end and you see him eating Cool Ranch Doritos.
It was there the whole time.
It was there the whole time. I did note, though, that some of the editing was off at some places, especially when people were talking. It was maybe a little bit too fast. Like the camera would pan to someone else, maybe while someone else was still talking and finishing the thought, or like the audience wasn't quite ready to move on to the next character. Just a little bit of fast scene movement, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but that might have something to say about the type of audience this movie's trying to appeal to and having quick edits to keep people engaged. It just might be the nature of who we're dealing with Philip and Christopher. They did do the Lego movie, after all. So, and I've trained you well enough to appreciate sitting on a scene.
Man, that was training or torture.
It's sort of torture. It all started with funny games.
I did, but I really liked that movie. Man. But yeah, just some of the editing was off. But other than that, they had a great soundtrack, kind of current with the time, 2012. And some of the score was pretty good, surprisingly, especially when there were very dramatic scenes and then they'd be talking and then you just hear like the dramatic, like, with the sound. I mean, It's crazy. It's crazy I'm even noticing these things. Like, I've seen this movie a million times, and I'm like, what? Excuse me? This was there before?
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't have taken so many times to see. After the first 2, 3, fourth time, you should start seeing the seams and creases of a film.
That probably just tells you how bad my attention-paying skills were with movies. Because if I wasn't falling asleep, I was like getting ready to fall asleep. Because even when we rewatched Brother Bear, I don't know how many episodes ago that was now, it was like I was watching it with brand new eyes. It's crazy. Did not have that effect with The Outsiders whatsoever.
It's kind of funny opening those doors. You start to get a new appreciation for complete films and just great performances and soundtracks, of course. And then when things don't hit, you're like,
I like that.
shit, yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you for bringing this movie up and watching it with me and talking about it here today.
You're welcome. I'm glad you at least like this movie because we're probably watching it again sometime.
Yeah, the only thing I really didn't like about the movie was the action sequence when they were expecting things to blow up and stuff, and that was reaching a little too far into the bag of
stupid.
Yeah.
I liked them. I thought it played again into that whole self-awareness that
it's true, but it's taken it a little far.
A little far. Gotcha.
And then being chased on the highway and then getting into different cars and stuff, it's taken it a little far. But it's one of two sections where we do get this kind of taking it a little too far. So, and they both have the biker guys in them because the end with, Johnny Depp's death. But they take it far in different ways. That becomes, the Johnny Depp death becomes a little absurd and cartoony, and then the chase sequence is a little too self-aware in that there's some sort of expectation in them doing this and stuff, and it's just like, okay, but it didn't last too long. There wasn't a lot of repetition, and so it was fine. The movie holds up. But do you have a budget guess for me here today?
My budget guess is $30 million.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be about $30 million. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I was thinking about 20, 25, but we have a lot going on, so I upped it to 30.
It's got one of these weird ranges that's just not okay. It says 42 to 54 million. That's not how a budget should be recorded or cited. That's
yes.
$10 million is a lot of money, especially when you're dealing with tens of millions of dollars.
That's a whole nother movie.
Yeah. And this movie was way too expensive. It should have probably been $25 to $30 million. Who knows how that inflated, but it went on to make almost $202 million. So
Whoa.
Nice chunk of money.
That's awesome.
Especially for something like this, I would suspect anyways. I can't imagine most of Jonah Hill's movies that are in this vein kind of hitting that mark.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we have a lot of 21 Jump Street TV series fans that were like, what is this?
No way. This is way more famous, more popular than this series.
Johnny Depp's gonna be in it? What?
I think you'll blow a lot of people's minds saying that Johnny Depp was in a show for 4 years in the late 80s, early 90s.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You'll be happy to hear over on Letterboxd with 1.16 million. A lot of people.
Whoa.
Weighed in at a 3.6. That's pretty incredible, I must say.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But how is this gonna have a 3.6, but King Kong, the 2005 version, has a 3.3? How? Both great movies. I enjoy both of them very much. They both entertain me very much. But one is clearly a better movie than the other. One's just to entertain you, one is a masterpiece.
Well, I will say, first of all, I agree. King Kong is a seminal movie for a variety of reasons.
A lot of reasons.
But I'd argue this might also be somewhat of a seminal film, at least in a post kind of Seth Rogen era, and giving the world, Jonah Hill.
Yeah, I'm not saying that this movie sucks. I'm saying that King Kong should be elevated. I think this very well deserves the 3.6 it gets.
Yeah. I'm surprised King Kong is so low. I really am. It's when you see that movie, I'm like, okay, that's obviously 3.9, 4.0 on Letterboxd, IMDb, because it's Lord of the Rings era, Peter Jackson. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, me either. I'm never gonna forget about that for the rest of my life. But I gave 21 Jump Street a 3. It was very hard to give it a 3.
That's a good score.
Yeah. I have to think about my scores now.
Yeah, you want to keep them calibrated and nice and normal.
Yeah. Old me would have definitely just given this a 5. But then now this has a 5 and King Kong has a 5. Then what I'm saying is not true anymore. So I don't know. This was hard for me to give it a 3, but I think I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, you don't want to hear where I'm leaning. So I just want even.
This is a great movie. I give it a 1. 1.5 on a good day. That's you. I said it for you. You don't have to say it. You're welcome.
Well, man, thank you again for watching this movie, and thank you guys for listening to this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember, we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with brand new episodes of the Filmesteins over on patreon.com/Filmesteins, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, RIP in Pieces, Google Podcasts, and let me not forget, YouTube. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas over on our Patreon as well. Come request a movie. Come subscribe for $1. Please come support us.
Please.
We appreciate all the support. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmesteins. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives in the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmesteins. And follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching, keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmesteins signing off.
Kick.